Hey everybody, it's me, yours truly, Dave Wentworth with Destination Whatever, and I've got another Monday evening travel express, and I'm really excited about this one. Here's a clue about tonight's destination. It's the eggplant emoji, and you all know what the eggplant emoji stands for. Moussaka. We're going to go to Greece, so let's get going. Express Escapes, Greece. Let's talk about this destination because it packs a lot of things. You feta believe it. Greece, it's a country with a captivating history and it has a lot of culture that's influenced the Eastern world. We could say it's the birthplace of Western civilization. And I think it has a little bit of something for everybody. And we're going to walk through that tonight. Of course, things if you're a history buff, things if you're a sun seeker, or things if you're just, searching an amazing trip. So a bit about what we'll do tonight is I'll talk a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about Greece. We'll look at the essential information. We'll look at climate and geography. We'll look at must-see sites, and we're going to look at regional aspects. So what you can do in the different parts of Greece. And then I'll have some itineraries to show you. Hey, people in Greece don't like to get up early in the morning. It's true. I've been told it's because dawn is tough on Greece. All right, lots of dad jokes coming up tonight about Greece, but let me tell you a little bit about my background. So my name is Dave Wentworth, and I'm a travel agency owner, and my travel agency is called Destination Whatever. And my background in academics is in international development studies. That's what I did at Dalhousie University. And since I graduated, I've traveled to over 40 countries on 6 continents, and I've had a career in travel and tourism. And my focus as a travel agency owner is to promote destinations that represent authentic culture and really take people to destinations around the world in a meaningful way. It's such an exciting time in, the world of history that we can take a plane and we can go to the other side of the world, but what does that really mean? And what does it mean to do that in a responsible way and have a real connection with a culture? And so I have a lot of passion for communication and foreign languages and culture and, learning about the world and sharing about the world and educating about the world, which is what, I love about doing these presentations. I love travel and destination education. So, yeah, a bit about what I love to do, talking about travel. If you've got a group, here I am speaking to a lunch hour group. If you've got a group that meets on the regular, maybe you're a family group, a book club, a language group, whatever, hobbyists, let me know if you want a presentation, whether it's something I can arrange in person or a Zoom presentation for your group. I just love doing that sort of outreach. And in terms of booking, you can think about me for your group tours, river and ocean cruises, expedition travel, customized itineraries, adventure for all. I love unique destinations. Here's a photograph of me at Chernobyl, actually. And I love unique experiences. A lot of people who have worked with me would tell you that I have an eye for putting things together, finding unique opportunities, special moments for travel, unusual types of travel. What you see here in the unique experiences picture is a freighter cargo cruise that I specialize in booking in that takes people to the outer French Polynesian islands. It's a real great way to go to that culture. Hey, the word Polynesia, that's inspired by the Greek language. So let's continue with tonight's presentation about Greece. So Greece is located in southeastern Europe. It's about as far southeast as you can go in Europe. And as I was saying at the beginning of tonight's presentation, it is the origin of Western culture. It has mountainous scenery in the north, and it has beautiful coastlines. I know a lot of us, when we think about Greece, we think about that beautiful aquamarine coastline that goes all the way around, and of course, all the islands. And as I was saying at the beginning as well, it has something for everybody. History lovers. I mean, I practically don't even have to introduce the history of Greece. And then food lovers. I mean, I'm sure many of us can think of some of our favorite uh, Greek foods that we love to eat. What's the difference between regular yogurt and Greek yogurt? Greek yogurt has a rich cultural history. Okay, speaking of real cultural history, you're going to find it here in Greece. And there's a lot of history within Greece. The north is a bit different than the south, and you'll just find no other destination on the planet quite like Greece. Hey, the language is Greek, and one thing we like to say sometimes, especially if we're confused, if we're befuddled, it's all Greek to me. So if it's all Greek to you and you're wondering how someone like me can help you, well, I've been to Greece and I've helped a lot of people over the years plan really memorable trips to Greece. So I have destination information firsthand, having worked with others, just a lot of passion for Greece. So let's say Opa together. When you're ready to go to Greece, reach out to me, destinationwhatever.com. Let's take a look at the geography of Greece. So, as I was saying earlier, the north along the borders, so Greece borders Albania, northern Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Turkey. Very mountainous, in particularly up around Albania, northern Macedonia, Bulgaria. Beautiful mountainous area. We're going to look at some pictures and some itineraries to that part of Greece a little later in this presentation. And then as we come down, we have the central areas, and a lot of that, of course, clusters around Athens, which is the capital of Greece. And here we have a lot of sites, especially things that go into history, going back into before Common Era history. And then Greece has a lot of islands, and we'll take a closer look, a closer examination of the islands here in just a moment. And then in terms of waterways in Greece, you have on the left side coast, on the west coast, the Ionian Sea, and then on the right coast or the east coast, you have the Aegean Sea, and towards the south coast, you have the Mediterranean Sea. And when we're talking about islands, of course, down in the Mediterranean Sea, you can see Crete, which is quite a large island and a southernmost part of this destination. So again, when we talk about the Greek islands, a lot of people have passion for the Greek islands, and they'll contact me and they'll say, "Hey, I'd like to plan a trip to Greece." And I'll say, "Well, what do you have in mind?" And they'll say, "I want to go to the Greek islands." And what does that mean? Well, there's a few different chains of Greek islands. So in this picture, if we look in the upper right, there's some kind of coral colored islands. That would show Corfu, and that's actually located in the northeast part of Greece. So a little bit different because it's heading up the Ionian Sea, heading up the Adriatic coast. Sometimes these islands are visited when there's cruises that start in like Venice or Croatia and then work their way down towards Greece. And then out in the Mediterranean, you have a lot more islands and you have a few groups. And I think it's helpful for people to know what the groups of islands are because when you're planning a trip to Greece, you can look at it on Google Earth and see all these different islands. And then you're like, well, how do I start with it? How do I break that down? So one way you can break it down is to look at it in the following groups. On this map, that the dark purple right in the middle, the Cyclades Islands, and then right to that, to the east of that, the Dodecanese Islands. So here you have a lot of the main islands. A lot of people are going to want to visit. A lot of itineraries are going to visit these islands. We're going to get classic sites. You'll see it coming up. This is an area of Greece that a lot of people want to do. But that's not all for Greek islands. Again, in the very south, we have Crete. Crete's a large island, so it sustains quite a lot of opportunity to do different things. You could go down to Crete, frankly, for a week or two, just in and of that self. And then another larger island that has a lot to see and do would be Rhodes. So lots of Greek islands there further south. And then if we go further north, up towards the North Aegean Seas, the Sporades Islands, which are really popular, great landscape there. Very special reason why, and I'll tell you a little bit later why I think this is such a special area of Greece and why it's very popular for people. And then, of course, some other islands as well that fan between Greece and Turkey. So just a lot of Greek islands, but just breaking them down into these chunks, I think it's helpful. Let's take just a final look at the Greek islands and just look at the Cyclades Islands, because here again, you're going to get those name droppers like Mykonos, like Naxos, like Santorini. These islands people want to do, and they can be done by cruise, they can be done by ferry, they can be done on a catamaran, they can be done on a small ship. There's so many different itineraries, so many different ways we can get you out to these Greek islands. But again, I think if you're just thinking generally, Greek island, this is the starting off spot. This is the 101. Let's take a look at the annual climate of Greece because it's good to know when we go, what sort of weather we might expect. And if you are concerned about temperatures being too hot, you might look right at the summer and see that it is the hottest time of year. So these are the mean temperatures, meaning it is the average of daytime and nighttime temperature. And you can see through the months of July and August, the temperature is going to reach 25 in the mean and not a lot of rain. The blue lines are precipitation. You can see there's not a lot of rainfall in the summer. So this tells us that Greece is hot and it is dry in the summer. And some people might find it to be too hot in the months of July or August. In September, we can see the precipitation starts to fall a bit more, not a lot though, and the temperature starts to come down to a more comfortable mean temperature around 21, 22 degrees. And so that continues into October. As you can see, the precipitation goes up, the temperature goes down. I think September and October are fabulous times to visit Greece. I personally went to Greece in October and I loved it. I was on a cruise, so I was out on the water. I was very comfortable in t-shirts and like light t-shirts at that. Walking around Athens was really nice because the temperature was inviting. I could feel the sun on my skin, but I wasn't scorched. It wasn't too hot. So again, I think September and October, some prime months for visiting Greece. Through the winter, Greece can be visited in the off season, and in the spring, temperatures in Greece start to pick up as early as April. And you can see they get quite warm quite quickly. May could be a great month to plan a trip to Greece. Another way we can look at the climate here, a lot of the darker orange is going to show us areas of Greece that are quite arid and quite hot. And then the lighter kind of peach colored there, that's going to show us an area that's arid and cooler. So the mountainous areas. So we have a lot of arid areas in Greece. We have a lot of yellow areas that show us it's a dry summer, a hot summer, and again we saw that on the last slide. So Greece is a hot, sun-kissed, sun-scorched destination. All right, let's talk about getting to Greece. So Greece is particularly well serviced, in my opinion, especially if you're coming from Canada. And so Air Canada and Air Transat both have options that go from Montreal or Toronto over to Athens. Athens is the main gateway, the main airport for Greece. And the flight time is going to take about 9.5 hours to get over from Canada to Greece. And then, if you're in Europe already, one way to get over to Greece could be to take a ferry from Italy. That's another way people will go. And Greece is an EU member. And so that's particularly good for Canadians, people traveling on a Canadian passport, because it means that we can enter Greece the same way we would enter the EU. So you can go in and you're good to go for 3 months. And the currency is the euro. So if you're in other parts of Europe and you want to get down to Greece, it's just very easy to do that. And electricity, it's the same current, same adapter. So you can just kind of keep plan just as if you were going to any other European destination. Greece is a real easy one to get to. And in terms of getting around Greece, well, Greece is, visited in mainland wise. You can go by road, but there's also some good trains. And if you're a train enthusiast, there's actually a train line that could take you from Athens over to Istanbul. That's kind of cool. And then, of course, if you're out on the water, you are going to need to think about a marine type of transportation. So ferries come to mind right off the bat. And if you don't want to take the ferries, there are flights as well. You can do flights in and out of Athens. That's kind of like a hub and spoke for flights within Greece. And there's a number of flights. Typically, most islands would have a couple of flights a day up to Athens. And I'm able to do packages when I'm working with people on Greece. If you are going over there and you're doing your own thing, if you are booking your accommodations and you're going out to the islands, we're doing that type of work together. I can also do the ferries for you. So I can do that planning in advance. We can get those booked and paid for, and you have some vouchers and you just head on down to the ferry and go on your way. So that's really fun if you want to plan a custom island hop vacation in Greece. So if that interests you, please inquire for details, and I'll have my contact information coming up at the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you can see and do once you get over to Greece. So as I was saying, Athens is the main gateway to Greece. It is the capital, and it has been around since like time and immortal. Seriously, folks, this place is old, old, old. And anyhow, in Athens, there's a number of things you want to see and do. When I went over to Greece, I did a cruise on a small ship, and I'll have a picture of that coming up in a few slides. But anyhow, I wanted to make sure I arrived early. I didn't want to miss my cruise. And also, I wanted to see Athens, and I enjoyed a couple of days in Athens, and I think it's a great city for that. I went to go see the Parthenon, which you can see a picture of me right in the middle there at that famous site. And that's part of the larger Acropolis area where you're going to have a lot of ancient sites, the ancient Agora. Another site I liked because I was really into the idea of the ancient history. And I mean, it was a bit awed by it, quite frankly. You know, these were the things that I had learned about in high school history class. And here I was standing right in front of these very sites. But anyway, the Pan, and I hope I'm going to get this right, but the Pan Athinacio, and I probably butchered that. But anyhow, that was the site of the first modern Olympic Games. And so I was able to walk around a lot of these sites quite easily. And also, I enjoyed using the metro in Athens. That was really easy to do. And even though the Greek language, it's in a different alphabet, it's of course the Greek alphabet. I still found I was traveling independently for a few days on my own before the cruise. It was just really easy to get around, and I enjoyed that very much. I also used the metro to get in from the airport, actually, as well. That's possible when you're coming and going from Athens. Although, if you prefer, you know, you can arrange transfers. There's other ways to get in from the airport other than the train. Moving into central Greece. So central, I would put together the central area of mainland Greece and include the Peloponnesus region as well. And anyhow, few sites in here. Delphi would be the oh my goodness, the Oracle of Apollo is at Delphi. And so you get some really great history on the mainland. It's near Athens. It's going to take you back hundreds, thousands of years to the before Common Era, the BCE times. And another one would be Olympia, of course, the site of the original Olympic Games. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that would be going back to like 700 BCE. And yeah, a picture of me when I was on my cruise. We did a cruise around the Peloponnesus. And so one of the stops we went to was Hydra. And I just loved these towns that we would visit along the coastlines because number one, I went to Greece with expectations to enjoy all the Greek food. I love Greek cuisine. And so in all these little towns, I would stop and just have so many delicious bites from small restaurants and cafes and tavernas. And oh, it was just a smorgasbord. I love that. But also, I just love the whitewashed buildings. It was just exactly what I expected to see in Greece, and certain colors of blue coming into the color palette. And it truly was. I'm just traveling to Greece was the fantasy come true. Just loved it. And so, yeah, for me, this represented, you know, getting out of Athens and starting to see some more parts of Greece. And that's what I was there for. All right, moving up towards northern Greece, this is an area of the country that's much less touristed. Um, and what you would find up here would, for starters, would be Greece's second largest city, which is Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki even has an airport. So if you were doing an itinerary to northern Greece, you could even fly into Thessaloniki, not direct from North America, but with connection through some of the European gateways into Thessaloniki. Anyhow, a lot of natural settings here, which are perfect for athletic endeavors and walking holidays. And I have an example of that coming up here in just a few moments. But some of the name drops that you could find in this area would be Mount Olympus and Meteora with its monasteries perched up on the hilltop. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, as I was saying, Thessaloniki is the second city of Greece. So if you're headed up to northern Greece, chances are it's going to play into the equation somehow as a transportation hub, or maybe even a spot for you to stop and explore and spend a few days in Thessaloniki. Obviously, we're going to jump now from the north part of Greece all the way out to the islands. I'm going to do my best, of course, to try to sum up all of the Greek islands in just a few morsels in just a few words. Naturally, all of these places could invite a bigger conversation. And if you're interested in that conversation, you can reach out to me and we'll have that one-on-one. But for today, I'll just talk generally about the islands. Mykonos is a main one that we hear about. People love to go to Mykonos. Whether you're there for the landscape, you're there to chill out, you want to wind up and get into the party vibe. Mykonos has something for everybody. I think it is a classic Greek island. It's a perfect one to start off with. And it's also one of the first ones that you're going to get to when you leave Athens main port. Little tip on that, by the way, the port is called Piraeus. It's located not too far from Athens. I went from Athens to the port of Piraeus by taxi. It was really easy to do that. I think I paid about 20 euros. And then other options exist too. You can even take the train, you can take the metro, Ubers, all sorts of things. Anyhow, from Mykonos, maybe the next island that you'd get to would be Santorini. And a lot of people want to go to Santorini because exactly the picture you can see here in the center, it's that whitewashed building, it's the blue domes, it's that, I mean, white and blue like that. That is just the Greek flag. That is exactly why we were there, people. And then, of course, the sunsets and the water. Santorini is a beautiful, jaw-dropping, popular island, and it's popular for a reason. And if we go further south, again, there's so many islands, but one image here just from Crete, excellent water, that type of clear water where you can see right down to the bottom, warm, sun's like on your skin, you're enjoying the beach. Again, it's really easy to see why Greece has such a strong tourism, particularly on the islands. So a few questions that people would often like ask when I'm working with them about their trips to Greece, or things that I would like to let people know about that I think are important from my perspective as a travel agent about planning a trip to Greece. How long and when to go. So as I was saying a little bit earlier when we were looking at the slides, I think autumn is the best time of year to go to Greece. If you disagree with me, that's cool. But I think autumn's the best because the temperatures start to back off. The precipitation's relatively light, so you're not going to end up with too much showers. And also, the crowds start to taper off, especially when school goes back in session. All those academic trips to Greece, they're going to go back to school, and so it's a great time for you to slip in and explore this destination in September and in October. There are some great deals though in summer. It's not to be avoided, and I would never say there's a bad time to go to Greece. One other thing I wanted to point out though, how long to go. I think Greece has a lot to offer. And if you want to see mainland Greece and then maybe some of the islands, I think we're talking about at least 2 weeks, maybe even up to 3 weeks, because when you think about it, if you take a week to go do the mainland and maybe that includes Athens, or maybe that doesn't even include Athens. It depends what you're looking to get out of your experience, what you want to see and do. But say we're looking at, a week, maybe 10 days with Athens and the mainland. And then what? You want a week out on the islands? You want to go to the islands and chill out, or maybe do a 1 week cruise or something along those lines. Whatever that is, that's a week out in the islands. So combined with your time on the mainland, you can easily get a trip to Greece up to 2 to 3 weeks to really satisfy the destination. Greece is also a spot that people like to visit over and over again. I mean, if you look at all the islands and all the things to see and do, it's no reason why people, go back to Greece over and over again. So a few things to focus in on, especially, again, maybe it's your first time to Greece. And so you really want to think, well, how do I get started with a trip to Greece? So many things to see and do. It can be a bit overwhelming. Well, if you're not a history buff, I would say consider not overloading yourself with too much all at once. And I've seen people fall into what I think could be a pitfall if you're not truly a deep history lover. And I'm talking about, people that just love, 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 love history. Don't fill your day up with nothing other than history and a big site after another big site after another big site. These historical sites take time to visit, and they're weighty, and they impress upon you. And so just spread that out, and maybe even just focus on 1 or 2 things that would be good for you to see or do, especially again if history just part of your equation of Greece, but not the whole reason why you want to visit. And again, popular sites are popular for a reason. I was talking about Santorini. Everybody wants to go to Santorini. They want to take their selfies. They want to see that sunset. It's beautiful. They've seen their favorite celebrities go there. They've seen pictures of it in magazines. So of course, if you're going to Santorini, expect the crowds. You're not the only one that's been motivated and has the desire to go to this beautiful Greek island. And how can you go to Greece and not see Santorini? You have to go there. But I would say perhaps try to think about mixing up your itinerary with some lesser visited venues And so go to Santorini and then maybe go to a lesser visited island and chill out for a couple of days and relax and just let time pass by. Hey, the food. I've talked about it a little bit and we'll talk about it again. I'll talk about it over and over and over again. The food in Greece is just amazing. You're not going to go hungry in Greece. There's a variety of diets that can be accommodated, vegetarian, gluten-free. But Greek food is just amazing. It's fresh, it's delicious. I think a lot of us can think of examples of Greek food that we enjoy eating. So for I think many of us, a trip to Greece, a big motivator there, a big thing that we get excited about is the food in Greece. And of course, drinks in Greece too, great Greek coffee or things like ouzo as well, if you want to try a local liqueur, something made in Greece. And I would say Greece is dot dot dot. Greece is safe and it's welcoming and it's easy to visit. This is a country that is a European country, as I was saying earlier. So it's part of the EU. You can use the euros. It's an easy currency to work with. Modern systems of payment are all over the place. It has a high level of sanitation like you'd find in other parts of Europe. So it's easy to travel there on a lot of different levels. And I think it's easy to travel there too, because a lot of us we can visualize what we want to get out of Greece. We know the idea of a Greek vacation. We know how to be have our Shirley Valentine fantasy. So, you know what you want to do in Greece. It's just a question of getting in touch, planning it, booking it, and then going. It's a bucket list destination for many people. And again, it's very popular with Canadians. And that's one of the reasons why we see so many flights there. For example, from Montreal, from Toronto, we have Canadians tuning in coast to coast. Hey, on that, I just wanted to point out that, of course, Air Canada is great for getting from anywhere in Canada to the gateways of Montreal or Toronto. But something exciting, and I've seen people taking advantage of it this summer, is Air Transat has partnership now with Porter Airlines, and it's very timely because Porter is doing more flights out of Toronto Pearson and Montreal Airport. And so if you're in cities now that are getting serviced by Porter right into Toronto Pearson, right into Montreal, we can book you tickets that are with Air Transat. They fly from Montreal and Toronto right over to Greece. And you can get your Porter legs, and you can get that all put through on one ticket, which means one check-in, one set baggage allowance. It just offers a lot of convenience, and it opens up another transportation solution for Canadians going to Greece. But yeah, just to finish on this slide, that there's a mix of experiences, a lot of things that can appeal to different tastes, athletic things, food things, sporty things, history things, sunny things, beachy things, you name it, Greece has it. And let's take a look at some touring, because that would be a great way to show you exactly what a vacation to Greece might look like. So this is a wonderful trip. It's Greece, ancient ruins and iconic islands with G Adventures. I love this personally because it's with the National Geographic line of tours that they do. And when I think of a trip to Greece, I think National Geographic makes a lot of sense here, right? We want to have a deep experience. We want to understand Greece. I mean, this is something that offers so much that we want to gain insight on what it actually means to be there, and what happened in ancient Greece and ancient times. Anyway, 11-day tour here. Love this as well because it approaches Greece from the mainland and also going to see the islands. And so, in the 12 days of this itinerary that start and ends in Athens, so it's great for your flights as well. You're going to get to see Greece both ways. And if you're still looking for something to do this summer or early fall, great thing is there is a price drop on here. August 18th departure down to $42.95, and September 18 at $46.74. That's some big savings on this excellent high quality tour. Some savings that would really offset your airfare. So get in touch if that does anything for you at destinationwhatever.com. Next thing I want to show you is a hiking tour in northern Greece. So this is also with G Adventures. It's 7 days and it goes across northern Greece. And so if you were into the ideas of what I was talking about the natural setting, the mountains, Meteora, for example, this goes there. You can go and see those hilltop monasteries. This tour would take you to all of that in 7 days. This would be really fun to do this, and then maybe jet down to the islands for a week. And again, there's some great price drops on this one if you're looking for something to do this summer or this fall. Some great prices, $18.95 or $18.39 there, depending on which one of those 5 departures you want it to do. But again, really nice savings and a way to go up and see Greece in a different way. If you're hungry for Greece, why not consider a real food adventure? This is offered with Intrepid Travel, so another small group. Again, we're talking like 12 people on these tours. And this one includes 8 nights in hotels, 8 breakfasts, 3 lunches, 2 dinners, lots of food included with this one because it's a food tour. But listen to some of these experiences I'm going to tell you about. It has an Athens welcome dinner, visiting a pistachio farm, and then a cheese tasting. I mean, I really would love to do that myself. And then you're going to go do some cooking classes. You're going to get an Ouzo distillery visit and tasting, Kalamata market visit with the olives. You're going to go to an olive mill and do tastings there. And there's even more activities in the itinerary. There's a local guide. All the internal transportation is taken care of. But again, this is a 9-day itinerary. And if you're looking to do this summer, this one has a savings of over $1,000 off at the moment right now for the July 11th departure, 32.36 Canadian. So if that's something that interests you, please get in touch. Just got a few more to show you tonight, people, before we wind off. Something on the water. This would be very close to what I did in Greece. This is with Star Clippers on the ship Star Clipper, which is a small ship. I'm talking small ship, 379 feet long and only 166 guests. So this is not a large cruise at all. This is what I did when I went to Greece a few years ago, and I just loved sailing around. This was actually my first time doing a cruise, and just going up at the sail away party when the sails came down and they caught the wind and we were sailing out of the port of Piraeus. It was just magical, and I would just do this over and over again. One thing I like about Star Clippers as well, they take excellent care of you. And whether you just want to like chill out, or you want to get into the history and go and do all the excursions, or if you want to learn something about sea, you can do all of those things. And by learning something at sea, what I'm talking about is if you want to go up the crow's mast, if you want to learn a bit more about sailing, this is an active sailing program. And so it's just a fabulous way to get out on the water. And this itinerary as well, one thing I like about this itinerary, they have a number of ones around Greece. It goes to Skiathos and Skopelos, which were filming sites for the movie Mamma Mia. I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to go there because I saw Meryl Streep dancing around in the movie Mamma Mia. Well, this cruise, this is the Mamma Mia cruise. This is going to take you out to those islands, and it's available with Star Clippers. My last thing I just say about this itinerary is that sometimes there are single supplement waivers on this cruise. You always got to inquire for those because they can vary. So if you're interested, get in touch. But otherwise, this is one to book early. This is one we'd want to think about booking right now for 2025. It's a small ship, 166 people. So those spaces do fill up quickly. Let me know if that does anything for you. Hey, if you want to walk, here's a walking trip in Crete. It's 8 days. This one is a fabulous price. It's a week of touring. It's a walking tour. It's going to take you around the island of Crete. I'm like, what do we got here? Some great prices. 1980 is the normal price, but we've got some price drops as low as 1760 in October. Another walking, this is a self-guided trip to Kithanos Island. It's premium level. This is really cool. This is $23.85. This would be great for people. If you were a group of people, a family, a multi-generation trip, a self-guided trip sets you up with all the accommodations and the transportation that you need. It gives you all the tour notes. There's a local guide. But otherwise, you're kind of doing your own thing. And this is a single center accommodation. So you would have one accommodation, and then each day you go walking and then come back to the same spot. So you don't have to move around a lot. You can really focus on your walking. And this is walking that is something that people can do from a variety of fitness levels. You do not need to be an athlete on this one. But some days you could be walking to the sandy beaches, or some days to the ancient settlements. And you even get to see an excavation site there that's 2,500 years old. Corfu Trail, another one if you want to go up and check out that area of northwestern Greece, those other islands. This is an example of what that could look like. Again, fabulous price on this one. This is an 8-day itinerary with departure starting at 1670 Canadian, and it includes so much, including meandering the ancient landscapes and exploring Corfu town. Just so much that you can do here in a week. All right, everybody. Well, that's enough for itineraries and that's enough for Greece. Let's talk about what's coming down the pipe. I've got a few travel talks coming up here in the next little bit. Thailand on June 17th, and then I'll be speaking about New Zealand on July 8th. I'm working on a few other presentations for after this period, so stay tuned for further details. I've got some exciting destinations and also unique travel styles in the works, so you won't want to miss that. Hey, if you want to Zoom, if there's anything I talked about today that interests you, or if you have any other questions for that matter that you'd like to talk about, you can reach out on my website and you can just press this button and make an appointment and Zoom with me. And I offer 30-minute complimentary Zooms to anybody who wants to talk about travel, whatever you want to talk about. 30 minutes, it's yours, I'm yours. Let me know what I can do to help you. If you enjoyed this presentation, it will be recorded and put on my website where I have a library of other recorded travel talks. So you can head over to Destination Whatever up into the travel info section. That's where you can see upcoming presentations like what I just showed you, but also you can check out the recorded library of past presentations I've done. There might be a destination in there that you've been always curious about, so it's a great way to learn, and you can share those links with family and friends. I'm Dave Wentworth and I'm Destination Whatever. And you think about me when it comes to cruising. I'm talking about your river cruising, ocean cruising, expedition cruising, small group tours. We looked at a lot of those tonight. Personalized itineraries, adventure travel, travel info. I'm your number one travel agent. I'm your number one travel agency too. And again, let's talk about travel. You can book a complimentary Zoom on my website. You can contact me at destinationwhatever.com. You can also, there's a little portal there. You can send me your travel questions. Again, book that complimentary Zoom and sign up for future correspondence. All my information is available there, destinationwhatever.com. Wonderful, everybody. Well, that concludes tonight's presentation on Greece. You know, the way they say hello in Greece, I love it. They say, yeah, so. So I will say, yeah, so, or just yas to Greece. But yas, thank you very much for attending. And I look forward to seeing you at the next travel presentation you can make it to. Take care. Bye-bye.